anybody. I'm gonna put my LinkedIn in the chat. Are we recording, Ethan?
We are recording. Yep.
Okay. All right. Welcome everyone to the May 2023, not 2023, 2023 Veterans Advocacy Tableau User Group. I'll be presenting today on community projects, Tableau community projects. If you haven't been following me at all on LinkedIn or any of the other socials, I've been doing one project, prepping data, because I like to prep data, since the beginning of the year. So I'll be kind of talking about taking a step back, looking at community projects as a whole, because it's just another way of looking at data and building out skills and networking and building out your portfolio. So with that, let me go ahead and so if you want to scan that QR code, it'll take you to a Linktree page, essentially with buttons where you can do all sorts of stuff. Follow us, go to our page, and all that other stuff. So if you want, I'll pause a moment if you want to take a look at that. If not, then I'll kind of continue on. So agenda for today, we already went through some introductions. We'll go to our segment where we do some vet to viz stories. And that's basically where I'll kind of get into it a little bit in a little bit more detail when we get to that next. Ethan's going to talk about the ODSC East conference that he went to. It was in Boston, and we got to meet up, but he'll talk about that later, and probably some of the jokes we played on the waiter. I'll be talking about, of course, like I just said, the Tableau community projects. We'll preview our next event, and then just a plug on the job board again, in case folks are looking for data jobs. Okay. As a review, you're actually at a community project, which is the Veterans Advocacy Tableau User Group. Myself, I'm Chris Orrego. We got Tim, who's will be joining us in a couple minutes. I'm a Marine Corps vet. Tim's Air Force. Ethan, who's also on, is Army, and Abe, who could not make it tonight, is also a Marine. So we got a good, I would say, a quorum of the branches. Obviously, we don't have Coast Guard, Space Force, Navy. Although you could argue that the Marine Corps is technically a department of the Navy. But then again, then you get into arguments between Marines and Navy. We're here to serve veterans, military spouses, or anybody really interested in telling the veteran's story or the military family story. So we've been doing this for, this first started I think something 2020 time for 2019 time frame. But we've been going strong for the past 2 years, I would say. And we have a lot of things planned going forward, in terms of just expanding our reach and our impact with both projects and training and everything else in networking. So we appreciate everyone joining here tonight. So this is a segment that it's almost, depending on the month, it could be crickets, it could be not, but we still like to do it because I think it's it kind of builds confidence in people that might be just starting out, to hear from other folks that maybe are further along their journey in data, or data in analytics or data science or whatever. Because not everybody takes the same path. I'm probably a good example of that. So we have a couple questions there. We offer anybody, especially anybody new to our Tableau user group, to go off mute, introduce yourself, try to hit those questions, and let everyone know your story. I'll start it, and just kind of give my background. So, in terms of data, I was actually working at the Veterans Benefits Administration I started there in 2008, and I learned to code there, and I was really just doing a lot of Visual Basic, SharePoint, because like they wouldn't let us install a lot of stuff on our computer, so I had to use what was lying around. So just did a lot of stuff coding that. I got to play around with Salesforce a little bit as an admin, for I had a cup of coffee as that, on a project trying to flesh out a quality system, but really didn't do too much data stuff until I got Tableau Desktop, because we had licenses that were provided, and then all of a sudden it was like a light bulb turned off. Like I could probably make a lot of things that was taking a long time for me much easier. And the Veterans Benefits Administration has a big Tableau server instance. So started learning Tableau, ended up getting an Alteryx license, and then I was really moving. Got to do some cool things. But it wasn't until probably like 38. I was like 38 years old, so like a couple years ago, that I actually got like a dedicated IT position. And then it wasn't until last year that I actually moved into a legit, like a prototypical data analytics team. So it took a long road to get there, and it took a long time of just staying at it, and trying to build my skills as my free time and stuff like that. So I didn't study any of this in college. I have a bachelor's in philosophy and a master's in public administration, and we did one course in statistics in my master's, and that was about it. So yeah, I think everybody would, at least the leads here would agree that nobody takes the same path in data by any stretch of the imagination. That being said, if anybody wants to go off mute and tell their story, feel free. I'll start calling.
I can go real quick.
Sure.
Okay. My mic's working. Hey Chris and group. Yeah, first time. Kind of new, I think, to the data side of things. I was at Booz Allen for a couple years, and towards the latter end of my time, those were just higher paying roles on the data side versus the non-technical roles. So started pushing the certifications and playing around with it on my own. I think I've been playing around with Tableau for about a year, but I think more of the complicated calculations, parameters, and kind of getting it going, I think I still need some help with it. But I think some of the basic stuff I'm pretty high level, I'm comfortable with. I've just been following different groups on Tableau online, and I saw the email pop up, so I figured I'd start to join and kind of get a sense for what's out there. When it comes to challenges, I think it's just practicing. I just haven't had a chance to really practice it and build a muscle memory. My transition out, so I'm former Navy, and I don't know, the transition, I think, like many, is just kind of all over the place. I'm in grad school right now, left Booz Allen, did some time at a startup, but kind of figuring out the next steps of life right now. So yeah, don't really know yet what's next after grad school. MBA. And yeah, I think I hit all the wickets, but yeah, looking forward to the group. Thanks.
Yeah, while you're in grad school, just make sure if like obviously, you probably know that you can get Tableau for free, but a lot of people don't know you can get Alteryx for free too while you're in grad school.
A friend of mine works there. I just haven't had a chance to really
Yeah.
play with it, but he's been pushing it, the online classes and everything.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean personally, I got a lot out of their online training. I thought it was really well done. So like I had a license before I left the VA. Right now
Mhm.
I'm at the EPA. But before I left the VA, I had a license in Alteryx, and I actually ended up getting certified using their online. And I thought it was well done because they give you like use cases and
Mhm.
files to play with, and then you have to kind of solve it on your own. I liked it.
Nice. No, I'll look into it again. It kind of fell off my radar, but yeah. Thanks for the recommendation. I'll
Yeah,
take.
yeah. No, it's just like there's a lot of things like
Yeah.
Alteryx where if you're in school or you're transitioning jobs, they just give out licenses. So.
Perfect. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you ever need any help with Tableau or anything like that, definitely feel free to reach out. This whole group, we're dedicated to helping you guys in your journey too, and lowering your time it takes you to learn the tools. So if you ever have a question, feel free to email me or reach out on LinkedIn or anything like that. It goes for
Hit,
everyone on the call, honestly.
hit us up in Slack too.
Yeah, totally.
You know, yeah. I mean, I think with any analytic tool, like there's gonna be lead time where you'll get the basics, but it's always to be expected. It might take a long time. I mean, it took a long time for me to learn like how to get level of detail LODs. Like that was like when you start playing with filter context, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I get a headache thinking about some of the stuff I had to do. So I mean, you're not alone in that. I mean, especially some of those more complex things. I mean, some of the stuff that Ethan does, I'm just like, what? What
Yeah,
do you
the
do?
YouTube videos only go so far sometimes.
Yeah. No, definitely. But reaching out to a person definitely helps.
I agree. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Do we got any other takers? All right. That's fine.
Well, Chris, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Tim. Sorry I'm late. My train was late, and Wednesday is the day that I go into work. So I don't know if you already covered who I am, Chris.
Yeah, we talked about how you have that joystick on your computer.
No, I don't. Inside joke. So I'm Tim. I'm an Air Force vet. I'm not going to go into the entire introduction, but I just wanted to say, hey, I'm one of the leads to the group. I'll talk more at the next meeting.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. I mean, me and Ethan were also talking about how we can't resist messing with Tim, but Tim is always a good sport, and he's always really quick with the response. So that's why we keep messing with him.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'll move on from this, but if you weren't able, maybe you have bad mic issues, whatever, or just a little shy, just know that this is a standing offer. Whenever we have these meetings, we'll be doing this segment. So you're more than welcome to share your story. So, I clicked too much. I went too clicky. Let me see. Let me go back. Actually, yeah. So I'm going to back up to this side. Let me stop. Let me go to this one. And I didn't make a slide for this, but I asked Ethan. He went to the ODSC conference. And I just wanted him to take a few minutes. I know there was a lot of buzz about Tableau conference. We didn't have anybody that went this year because Just it didn't work out. But Ethan did get to go to the ODSC conference in Boston, and I just wanted to have him kind of share his experience with that conference. Ethan, you there?
Sorry, I was on mute.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, I was trying to move spots here. But yeah, I went to ODSC. It was awesome. Boston was great. It was definitely good to get like a new take on data stuff that's going on, stuff that we're not necessarily like exposed to from the Tableau side, and then also like vice versa. Like there was a lot of stuff that data visualizations that they're trying to build, and like Python and using these other tools that Tableau, we could do it with our eyes closed, and it takes them days to like code it all up and figure it out. So it was really interesting. Some of my key takeaways, though, obviously, if you were at or heard anything or read up on anything about the Tableau conference, they just announced Tableau GPT, which is their own kind of language processing deal where you could type in a business question into your Tableau Online. Tableau server is supposed to spit out charts and data that's going to inform you about your question about the business. I think it's great. It's definitely moving in the right direction, and we saw like a lot of that same technology and same concepts being talked about heavily at ODSC as well. ChatGPT, like tools like Midjourney or Stable Diffusion. There's all these tools that can now accelerate writing content. There's tools that can do image creation for your marketing. And all you have to do is just simply type in like what you're looking for, and the AI just automatically generates this stuff for you. I thought it was really interesting. Definitely a lot to think through on how we can, again, utilize that for my business or even the Tableau user group. I think we can take advantage of some of those technologies. But one big thing that I kind of took away as well, even with like Tableau GPT, I've been hearing talks in like the community that, could potentially, scrub out the need for like a Tableau developer altogether. If the business user can just interact directly with the data like that. But at least from my experience, from what I've seen in the industry right now is we have a lot of data, but we don't really have it structured. It's not formatted. So the topic like Chris is talking about today with data engineering and some of the tips and tricks he's going to share with us, I think it's really important, especially for us as kind of data people to start thinking through, because that's going to be kind of a core concept moving forward, especially if we're moving into, utilizing these LLMs, the large language models that are going to be processing data on the fly for us and answering those questions automatically. There's also a lot of complex problems that businesses are trying to solve that I just don't think AI is there yet on answering those kinds of things. If you think about, it could be airlines, like how do we control airline delays? I don't think if you asked an AI that right now, it would be able to give you an answer, but an analyst could comb through the data and kind of find some of those insights. So there's just, all kinds of different things to take away and start to think about for our future, especially as Tableau developers. But those were some of my key insights. I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys have specific questions on either the content that was covered there or anything about data science or Tableau.
Did you like Boston, Ethan?
I loved Boston. Boston was the cleanest city I've literally ever been to in my life.
But you've been to some really dirty cities, then.
Oh yeah.
Well,
No,
I mean,
literally like walking through an alley and like there wasn't even a cigarette butt.
What? I don't know where you.
I mean, it was just like
yeah,
so.
he wasn't on the Green Line near BU.
No.
I did travel on the Green Line.
Yeah,
Maybe I just didn't travel far enough. I don't know.
well, yeah, my wife used to live at Packett's Corner, which is like down the BU line. So yeah.
VR set. Yeah, this is a VR. My slick VR glasses.
Okay.
Tableau branded.
All right. Did anyone go to the conference, Tableau conference on this call? It's curious. Take that as a no.
Yeah. I did
Or
want
next
to.
week.
I did want to kind of go over. Ethan already went over Tableau GPT, and that was like okay, they checked that box, so that they did a GPT thing. So I mean, it's cool. We'll see how it goes. It hasn't been rolled out yet. It's still in development, but they're announcing that they're going to do some things. Some things that caught my eye was this VizQL. You know, because I think like when you start to talk about like sending API calls to Tableau server or Tableau online and you're able to get a response. Like I actually use this with another product at my office and the ability to like dynamically call like let's say a Tableau extract in Tableau server and not necessarily like it might not even be like a visual or anything, it's just present in a data set in general, and I could be able to filter it as I please and use the hyper backend to do that. To me personally, I'm like, well, that opens up some things where you could really do some cool stuff. Like personally, the way I use it is to do like custom alerts and triggers. If you're a SQL backend or person, you work with DBAs before, a SQL developer, you might have scheduled something like that out, done a stored procedure or something like that. But like, I've done it with just like API calls, and it's a thing, and it's really, I mean, when you get to work, it's really good. So you don't necessarily have to like go back to your desktop application and rebuild the whole thing so you can just get the data that you need to email out, or people don't need to subscribe or anything like that. Then you could push it in email, you could push it to Slack, you could push it to also whatever collaboration app you have at your office. Like generally you can do stuff like that. You can also embed it in a website. So I don't know. A lot of people didn't key in on this. All the attention was on Tableau GPT, but the nerd in me, I was like, oh, this is cool. So everybody else is here, I'm here. So that's a good one. And then there was something else, I think, and then also because again, dev and prep is kind of what I like to do. They also announced that native address geocoding, that is a pain point at my office, geocoding stuff. But so be able to natively do that, I thought that was a cool thing, because a lot of people are like, you can show where, you can show what money is being spent, but immediately people's like, where is it spent? And then you have to like, oh, okay, they gave me an address and it doesn't match up, and you have to geocode it or whatever. So that was a cool one. And then this got a lot of play on Twitter, shared dimensions in Tableau desktop and web, so that you can kind of do multi-factor analysis. A lot of the Power BI people really keyed on this, and they were like, what? Tableau has that now? And then the other thing that the new Viz types got a lot of play, but there was one, and I don't see it here, but it was Tableau Prep is getting geo prep tools in it. So like if you're doing like a spatial comparisons, like is this point in this polygon, like stuff like that. So like, is this like lat long within this like congressional district, right? Apparently that's going to be the next thing in Tableau Prep, which that one is a good one too. I used to we brought up Alteryx earlier. That was my bread and butter in Alteryx, was using the geo stuff. So that was also a good one. So there's also some other ones. I don't even know what this Tableau Gestures is, but I'll just leave it at that. So I'll put the this link in the chat. So feel free to look at it, and Tim can, Ethan can look at it with his VR headset. That was a good one. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, but that was kind of what I keyed in on. So there you go. All right, back to the deck. Unless anybody has any questions. All right. So community projects. I definitely, one of my New Year's resolutions was to do more community projects, or at least pick one and kind of try to stick with it. Doing pretty good so far with prep and data. I still have to do week 19, and they just released week 20. So I'm a little bit behind, but I wanted to save week 19 for this call to just go over the basic one real quick. But there's all sorts of community projects. You got Viz projects, community, like actual, almost like community service, or specific like different areas of analysis, which you'll see later, like EduVizzes and stuff like that for education data. You have public policy viz. You have all sorts of different ones. Viz for social good. So they're more like almost like a community service project oriented. Then you have, your dev and prep. Not too many of those, but you do have some. So I love it because it helps build your portfolio. If you're trying to brand yourself and put out content, it's a great way to put out content because you could say, hey, I participated in this thing, and here's my solution to this problem. It could be a good networking tool. I mean, the folks at Prep and Data, they know me, apparently. They can, they respond to my tweets. So at least they kind of know that I'm participating. They even had some good feedback because I actually do it in Excel. I don't use Tableau Prep because I don't have a license for Tableau Prep. So I just do it in Excel for two reasons. Number one, I don't have a license for Tableau Prep. But the other reason is a lot of people also might be in my boat and they still want to learn how to prep, but they don't have access to it. So I use Excel because I know everybody has access to it. And it's I could use Python, R, SQL, but again, that's something that a lot of people just starting out, they might be intimidated, but going straight to R, straight to Python, straight to SQL. So I try to use something that's ubiquitous, which Excel. So, and then you have all these there, and can anyone guess which one's not real? I had to put a lame dad joke in there. Taco Tuesday. There is no community project called Taco Tuesday. So, but you have a bunch of them: Workout Wednesday, Makeover Monday, Sports Viz Sunday. These are all like Viz ones. This is Viz for Social Good Community Service one. I mean, just all sorts of different flavors of community projects. So this QR code will take you to the main page where you can find any of these projects, and I'm going to go through it. So Matthew's asking a question: anyone donating their time with an organization? I know Tim is. Tim, have you done Viz for Social Good before?
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a big one in the community that people do. Like they just had one. I was going to try to do it, but I just, I've been crushed.
I do this one that it's like veteran focused. What is it called?
I'm blanking. Yeah. No, but I was just wondering if you had like done one of their challenges in the past.
No, I've done like Workout Wednesdays and Makeover Mondays before.
No, I wasn't asking you if you were moonlighting with Viz for Social Good.
No.
I think but Viz for Social Good. I think Doc Elder, who's usually joins our calls. I can't see the attendees, so I'm not sure if he's on, but he is on that. I think he's on the board or something. So that's one that definitely has a huge community, has a huge Slack presence. If you were looking to build your portfolio with like a community service project, I mean, we do these from time to time, but the Social Good, I think they either do it monthly or quarterly. The last one was the United Nations one, I think. But let me go ahead and go to, let me see, the community projects page. So I'll put the link to just for ease since I have it here. But you kind of scroll down this page and looky, that's the one that Tim was talking about. You're on this one. This for Vets Data Initiative. We also run that one. We do some projects to increase awareness of veterans and military family issues. But after that, not really shameless plug, but plug. You have all these different ones that you can link to. A lot of them, like Makeover Monday, Workout Wednesday, they're like straight up building your Viz skills. So Makeover Monday is just like any other makeover. It's like, hey, it was Viz like this, try to make it better. Workout Wednesday is more so like, this is pretty sweet, can you make it happen? If I'm getting the bluff right on that one, the bottom line up front. So Viz for Social Good, another huge one. Sports Viz for Sunday. Some of the stuff they do in Sports Viz Sunday, like especially when they're mapping like shot charts. They've done it in soccer a bunch of times, I want to say. But it's just like, wow, that's kind of cool. Let me see some other ones. Project Health Viz, I've seen a lot on Twitter. Let me see. Obviously, this is my personal favorite, Prep and Data, just because it speaks to my nerd tendencies. But Will Sutton, who presented before, he helps run Games Night Viz, which they've made like straight up like playable Pac-Man. They're the ones that did the playable games in Tableau? I want to say they did, but anyway, it's just like some of the stuff that comes out of that community project is just like crazy. But it's just let me see ours, and then the Du Bois Challenge. We've done we were doing some things with Data Plus Diversity, and it was kind of rolled into the Du Bois Challenge. So that's one where I think does it kick off in January? Does it kick off in February? I forget. I thought it actually kicks off in
January because we did it for Black History Month.
Yeah. So they kick off every January, and I don't know how long the challenge runs though. But it's
let me clarify that. I know Black History Month is February, but I think they started it in January.
Yeah.
To get ready for February.
Yeah, they started. I know this. Yeah, that makes sense because I was like, I remember thinking they started in January. So it's a good one. It's I think they start out with like you have to recreate in Tableau or whatever you choose, because I've seen people use R, Python, all sorts of other stuff. I mean, some people were doing D3.js, like they were just going into D3 and just coding it in JavaScript, like all sorts of different interpretations of it. But basically, you try to recreate something that W.E.B. Du Bois made, way back when. So it's a very, very interesting one, very cool one, and the folks that run that are just like really good to work with. So yeah, again, this is another one for folks starting out. This might be a good one. Back to Biz basics. But even if you're seasoned, it's a good refresher reminder to kind of go back and just like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't do that type situation. So yeah, so there's a bunch here, right? Let me go back to my slide deck. So it's on that page, and for your situational awareness, you again are a part of one right now. So I try to make this slide just so that if you were kind of wanting to build in one area versus the other, or looking for something in particular, this is kind of like what I try to do, so that it just makes it simple for folks. So as you can see, there's a lot of Viz projects. So practice your skills. These are the ones that you want to highlight, depending on what you like to do, or what your interests are, even outside of work. So you have all these Viz ones, and we kind of talked about that. This one's a good one too. Real world fake data. I think Mark Bradbourne runs that, and it's basically like it's all synthetic data, but you try to Viz something that you might use on the job. Is the way I understand that one. So it's like he has all the synthetic data, and I think he has it in data.world. So it's kind of easy to connect with, easy to play with, and that's one that I always see, that if you see that hashtag WRFD on Twitter, then that's probably related to real world fake data. The top 4 there, actually, a lot of these are pretty popular, especially like Games Night Viz. I think there's a lot of people that do that one in Sports Viz Sunday. But I think probably the top 2 that almost, probably has the biggest populations are Makeover Monday and Workout Wednesday. For prepping and coding, there are 2 folks, and their name escapes me right now. Is it Kyle Massey? Is that it, Tim? I think it's Kyle Massey.
Who runs that one, you mean?
Yeah, he runs it with Zach. Anyway, they run a Tableau Coders Initiative. They've done like almost like 2 seasons where they go through the Tableau API, and they just kind of look at one part of the API, and they kind of go through it. And right now they're about to start on Friday morning at 8:30, and I think it's Central. They're going to start on the embedding API. They're really good in terms of explaining things. I think I didn't attend all of them when they did the first run. But the embedding API, what that lets you do cool stuff where you can play with embedding visuals on a website or somewhere else. So if you're interested in learning how to code Python, or however they're going to do it, I think last time they used Python. If you're interested in that, I'll try to see if I can post the invite for that. But they're just real. I attended 2 of those the last session, like I said, and they were just really good at breaking stuff down. And they're using Python. If they're using Python again, that's one of the easier languages to pick up if you haven't been coding. So I actually really recommend this one. Prep and data, that's my jam. So I'm always going to be high on that one. And then there's also a Tableau developer program. So if you are, a rock star at coding and you want to start playing with things in the Tableau environment, then they also have a developer program. So, and I think if you just Google that, it comes right up. And then project oriented, if you want to, build out specifically your portfolio in terms of like projects, real world projects that answers a certain question in a certain area that you're interested in working in. So you have Viz for Social Good. They do a lot of UN projects, and I think I just a lot of like nonprofit, international NGO. Like I'm not sure if they've done the World Bank, but I think they did. But it has a huge community. We also have somebody that joins the tug regularly, Kevin Lee Elder. So if you're interested in that one, feel free to reach out. We can connect you with Doc. It's a good one. It's definitely a really, really good one. I think, like, again, it's like they do like a monthly challenge. Well, they do the challenge that runs for a month, but I'm not sure if they do it on a monthly basis. It might be like every quarter they do a challenge that runs for a month. I forget. You have Project Health Fizz, which is, I think, run by Healthcare Tug. SDG, let me see what that one is. I forgot what the acronym is. I think it's like Sustainable Development Goals. Then you got Viz to Educate, Diversity in Data, EduVisors, Public Policy Viz, us, and Du Bois Challenge. So, I mean, depending on what you want to do, there's certainly all sorts of flavors of learning any one of these things, right? So, and kind of jumping in, even if it's, even if you're new to it and it doesn't come out right the first time, but just kind of getting in there, networking with people, connecting with people, it's just a great way to kind of build out your portfolio, network, and build and maintain skills. So my spotlight, I'm going to spotlight Prep and Data, and I'm just going to do it one. So in week 19, they had a 3 challenges for Tableau Conference, and they actually did it live. So I'm going to kind of do one in a second here. This is a very basic one. Just to kind of show you like what a basic prep looks like. I'm going to again do it in Excel, so bear with me. But it's run by folks at Data School London, and I think Tom Prouse is actually a Salesforce employee. But he's one of the leads of this community project. It's weekly challenges. They come out Wednesday, and then the solution comes out the following Tuesday. It's posted to their website. Again, like I mentioned, I've been doing challenges this calendar year. So once I finish 19 and 20, then I would have done 20 challenges for this year. So I post solution videos to YouTube. I was posting the code, but then they had their first ever advanced month, and I was like, come on. I'm doing this in Excel. You're going to do your first ever advanced month. And then that got a little nuts, and posting the code, it was just like, so I kind of stayed away from posting the code since then because it wasn't the cleanest thing in Excel. But I try to post a walkthrough every week on YouTube just to kind of, folks want to learn how to prep. This is a great entryway into data prep. So, I mean, and I think like throughout the year, it's like you think you know something until you're given like a novel problem, and then all of a sudden it's like it makes you question whether you know it. But I've definitely like picked up some things, especially like features that I didn't really use in Excel. I ended up using it just to solve the problem from the Prep and Data Challenge. So I can't say enough about it. I think if you're really wanting to clean up data and get it into a shape that's really going to be impactful and easy to work with in Tableau, then I really enjoy Prep and Data. There's other challenges out there. I know Data in Motion. They have weekly challenges in SQL, Python. What else? I think they have like 4 weekly challenges, so that's also an option as well. I mean, I personally I've been doing Prep and Data. I'm probably going to try to jump back and do some SQL challenges and Data in Motion as well. But for the most part, I've been doing a lot of the Prep and Data ones. So with that, I'm just going to go over what a challenge looks like for Prep and Data. So hopefully you can see that. So this is the challenge that I'm working with. Let me see. I'm going to put this in the chat. That's the one I'm on. And this is the file that they're working with. basically, this is the way it's set up. You get a big intro that talks about, what the problem is. But in this one, it's kind of, this is not generally what it looks like. They don't always have a beginner, an intermediate, and advanced. It's it's usually just one. So you basically input the spreadsheet and then you get to work. So I already prepped this in Power Query. If you haven't used Power Query, that's kind of what I've been using for the most part for this. But let me go ahead and open that file. Real quick. And this is kind of what you see, right? So this is what they give you, and you have to do some things with it. So right off the bat, I'm just going to make a table for Excel. It's the easiest thing to work with, especially when you can start going to Power Query. And you look at the instructions. I'll go back to the instructions. And you basically have all this that you have to do to it. So for brevity's sake, so I don't have to go through this in great detail and be here longer than we need to be, I already prepped this. So if I go to data, get data from table range, that'll take me into Power Query. But as I said, I already kind of did this. So let me just go into Power Query and show you just some very basic level data cleaning things that you can do. Let me just open this up. So data came in pretty much at this step, and this is what you saw previously. Let me just go ahead and blow this up for you so you can see better. Expand this down. So the challenge that they wanted you to do, and I put the steps here just so I can refer back to it, but they wanted you to split the description fields, create initials, categorize the presentations into the following subject areas, create a Boolean, filter on it, remove unnecessary fields, and output. So those are all the steps that I needed to do. Now, with Power Query, just like Tableau Prep, just like Alteryx, you have all your applied steps, and you can kind of play with these as needed. So if I did something, made a mistake, I can exit out, and it doesn't overwrite the data or anything. It reads a copy of it, and you can kind of play with it so that you can get the data in the shape that you need. It's really good to experiment with without having to necessarily learn how to code. I did some light coding on this one, and I'll show you that in a second. But the first step is here. They asked me to split, or asked whoever's participating to split and get the presenter and the title out. I'm going to split by columns, by delimiter. And then I'm going to do leftmost, and it's going to be a colon. And that gave me that split. And then I split by space, same situation, split column by delimiter, and I just put in space that time. So that's what it looks like. Let me see. By space, leftmost delimiter. So, that space right there. So split by that separated the names. And then what you can do is you can just highlight both columns and extract first characters. And that's what I did. And I just put a 1 there, and that gave me the initials. That was the next thing that they wanted me to prep. So I got the initials, and then they just wanted you to mash them together. So I just merged those bad boys. So just highlighted them and hit merge, and then called it something meaningful, initials. Then after that, they wanted you to characterize what the session was going to be. So I lowercase so I can do some if-then statements. And this is where I just added a column, did a custom column, and then literally if text.contains server, and then they gave you like 4 different things that you had to check for. Now, again, I'm going over this as a high level. So if it contains server, then it's server. If it contains prep, then it's prep. If it contains community, then it's community. If it contains else, it's desktop. So that gave me the subject, and then they wanted you to make a dedupe flag, which is basically checking same thing. If it contains dedupe, then true, else false. So I got my true, false, filtered on the trues, removed all the columns, did some reordering, renaming, and then cut to the end. And now I have exactly matching output is what you would expect. So this is essentially what a beginner challenge would look like in Tableau. In Prep and Data. Just using Excel. A lot of this stuff you could really just use the UI up here, the ribbon. Even that if then statement, you can just do add. Let me see. Let me go back real quick. So I could have just highlighted that and done conditional column. Even if you don't know the format, you could just use this window that pops up and just add clauses, and it works the same way. I just cut to the chase and just coded it because I knew how to do it. But this works as the same exact way. So if you want to use this, you can use this, and essentially, if you do it that way, you could use the UI to basically help generate your prep. Now, Tableau Prep has its own stuff that you can use similarly, the UI to kind of do your data cleaning and data prep. Alteryx definitely has that as well. Nime has that. So a lot of these prep tools gives you both a way to, if you want to code, you can, but if you don't need to, you can use the UI. So just something to point out there. So that's essentially the what a beginner level challenge looks like. Obviously, it can get more complicated from there. Whether they're having intermediate challenges or advanced, either whatever challenge it is, even if you don't get it, just watch for the solution video and try to reverse engineer afterwards. That also is a great way to kind of learn. You don't necessarily have to spend, if you're really getting stuck, you don't spend 2 days on any of these things. Just wait for the solution video, get as far as you can in a reasonable amount of time. And if you can't get it, then there's no harm really waiting for the solution video and learning something from somebody showing you how to do it. So other resources on this, Data in Motion. If you join their, what is that platform? I'm blanking. If you join there, it's not Slack. It is.
Is it Discord?
Well, yeah, the Discord. Yeah, there you go, Tim. If you join their Discord, they have weekly challenges in SQL, Python, and I think there's a Viz one. Actually, let me see. Let me pull up the Discord to kind of show you. So even though this is not a Tableau community group, they do have a lot of good ones here, and it's run every week. So they have weekly Python, SQL, data analysis, and data viz are the other ones. So again, it's a great way to build out your portfolio and network with folks. Data Lemur also has SQL challenges. That's a website. I think it's free to join, I believe. And I think sometimes Data in Motion will post a Data Lemur challenge, but it's a way to learn SQL. I think Abe has done the Danny Ma Serious Sequel course. It's like $49. So for what you learn, it's really reasonable, in my opinion. And you get to learn a lot about SQL that way. And there's just so many communities out there in general on how to learn data skills, whether it's Vising, prep, dev, or just projects in general. So don't be afraid to jump. If you want to learn something, there's no harm getting in there and making mistakes. Especially with all these tools, you're not altering the source data at all. You're reading it in and doing stuff with it. So there's really no harm just jumping in and getting your hands dirty. But with that, that pretty much wraps up my presentation. Does anybody have any questions about any of these community projects? All right. No.
Done any of the projects before? They can be a little intimidating when you go in there and you see like what people are producing, especially for like makeover Mondays and things like that, because a lot of the people that participate are just mind-blowingly good at what they do. But just get in there. It's a really supportive community that they won't dunk on your work. So just produce stuff and put it out there, and over time it'll get better.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, like even those people, they started somewhere. They didn't just get out of bed and start without any training, do all those things. A lot of those folks that are doing it have been doing it for the person I'm thinking of has been doing it for over a decade. Had Tableau since it was first released. So it's I think people tend to you want to measure yourself against other people, but it's well, that person's been doing it for 15, 16 years or whatever, however long it was. So
can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm really sick right now, so I sound awful. Sorry to be late, but I wanted to say I've done Tableau Public before, when I was still more beginner, and now that I'm a little more intermediate, I've done it too, and I can say that Tim and Chris are right. Everyone's really supportive. I remember from my first ever Tableau Public, it looked horrible. And there was 60 people commenting on Twitter and being like, "This is great. Here's some recommendations. This is awesome. Keep going." I haven't met anyone who's been very petty or toxic in the Tableau community. So don't be intimidated. Have not tried any of stuff like Serious SQL with Danny Ma or the other Tableau Prep Challenge you guys mentioned, but it sounds really cool. Thank you for sharing this.
Thanks, Connie, and I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, some of these other ones, it's more not necessarily Tableau related, but it could help you with your job, especially if you have to, you get asked to write a view in a SQL database. Then the Data Lemur challenge is the Data Motion challenge, the Serious SQL, those will help out definitely. But I think there's probably a lot of different ways to kind of get into a community and pick up these things. But I think the main thing is just taking the first step. All right, so moving on topics. We do have the USA Jobs report, and we also have a dedicated jobs page. Let me just go ahead and I'll put it. I have the QR code up there, but I'll just put the link in the chat That'll probably be easier. We've gone over it a couple months now. But if you're looking for a Tableau job or just a data job in general, we have this report here where you can kind of look things up and filter. And, if you're looking for something specific, you can use this to kind of filter this down. And
for those of you who don't know, USA Jobs is just federal government jobs as well.
yeah. So if you're looking for a federal job, that's this report. You can kind of filter and do whatever. Look for things that might be in your area. So if you're in California, let's say, here's 11 federal jobs that match these filters for Python. But if you're looking for Tableau, then in California, you got 13 jobs that potentially are related to Tableau. So it is, and I just closed out like a dummy. Let me go Viz for Vets. It's just vizforvets.com/jobs. So that's the federal jobs report. And then we also have, I have to play with the rendering here because I didn't do like a whole, I got to play with the HTML and CSS. But down here, we also have private sector jobs, and then these kick out to Google searches for the past 3 days. So if you hit this one, it's just all it is a custom Google search, and it's really like filtered down to the past 3 days, virtual, remote, telecommute, telework. A lot of folks know how to do these things with query languages and semantic languages in Google query parameters, but some people don't. So we just kind of want to put something together to kind of make it easier. Just as a comparison, like this goes to websites where like LinkedIn can kind of be a middleman, and when you click on the apply now link, it takes you to one of these sites. Actually, learned that in a TikTok. But you can see 67 results in the past 3 days. By comparison, if I didn't put all this junk in there, let's just do remote Tableau jobs. It's a big difference, right? And depending on how well you're good at structuring these query languages, it can be a little bit daunting. But let me go back. Like this filters it down to not meaningful, but like a workable like subset where it's like, okay, these are the newest jobs where it's remote telework. And if you want to alter it and take out some of these things like the virtual remote telework, whatever those things are, then feel free. If you want to play with the date and do the past week, then all you got to do is change the date. So we're just trying to put something out there. So if you're looking for both federal or private sector jobs, that you can kind of come here and try to find it. And we have buttons for all sorts of technologies. I have 5 different ones. Same thing as up here. So if you're looking for something specific that's maybe not Tableau, then we have buttons here for that as well. Just a plug for that again, because with all the things happening in the private sector, we figure people might be looking for jobs, and also people that might be in grad school or transitioning between jobs, just in general, or transitioning from the military. Then this might be a resource that you could use. So our next event, we have Albert Bellamy, Major Data, the Marine who smiles at spreadsheets, all those things. He'll be joining us next week to go over. He did a presentation for us last year on just like how to use LinkedIn, right? Because a lot of people weren't using it well. And this time he's going to be going over building your brand on social media. He is a LinkedIn influencer, which I am a little hazy as to how you get to be that, but I think it involves just having a massive following on LinkedIn and being very effective with your posts and your networking, which he definitely checks all those boxes. So you good?
The that QR code leads to the community page.
Oh, of course. Let me go ahead and put the.
Oh, I can do that. You just keep talking.
Yeah, I'll keep talking. My bad. I mean, they all look alike. They really do. Anyway, my bad. So Tim will post a link to the registration page. It's the same page for our bevy for the Tableau Veterans Advocacy user group. So he'll be joining us to talk about building your brand on social media, especially if you're trying to network, and networking is probably the best way to get the job that you're looking for, in addition to building out your portfolio and everything else and the skills. I think this will be a great meet. So please register and don't miss it. Tim, did you get that up? My bad.
Yeah, I put it in the chat.
Yeah, you got to watch me. I mean, you know that, Tim, but they don't know that. Anyway, so let me see. And that pretty much concludes the meet for this month. We thank everyone for being able to take time out of their day to join us. And if you have any questions or anything, you want to reach out to us, please feel free on LinkedIn, anywhere else that you see us. We're here to support, and we'll be hanging around. At least I'll be hanging around online here for a couple minutes. But if anybody doesn't have anything else, have a great night.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.